Hello Internet, it's time for another Wednesday's serial. This week I'll be tearing a page from that of the Minutia Minute, and I'll be going through the comics in order of which I preferred the covers. So there you have it. First up is the TMNT micro-series Casey Jones issue. Now, interesting note, at first they kind of did the micro-series issues, kind of going through the Turtles, and that's as far as it ever went before. Now they're taking care of some of the side cast, and that they started that with Splinter. But to see them give Casey Jones his own upcoming rights is nice to see. And this issue really was needed, I think, in a lot of ways. The way they're playing Casey is actually more different than the way that they're playing a lot of the other characters. And in this case, Casey Jones is a teenager, and he's actually a bit of a stronger character. He's just in a situation that he's kind of waiting to get out of, and once he's past being a high schooler, I imagine things should get better for him, assuming he's able to pull some academics up, which they kind of stray away from because they're not finding a way to really tie that into the story so far. But what's interesting is that here he is, and the way they play off of his mother and his father and how that's affecting him and what he's going out and doing and all that makes him seem really heroic, and is also an interesting parallel in a lot of ways to the whole troubled youth idea, where a lot of these people become criminals. He's finding a way to get out an aggression, yet at the same time be, a positive kind of superhero-esque vigilante character. And it's really interesting. They're taking a lot of the elements that go into what is and has been Casey Jones and making them all the more relevant to the character. And it's just a great little take, and if you've ever liked Casey Jones on any level, I'd say go and pick up this issue, because it's, if nothing else, it's just a fun self-contained comic, and it's a good read. Next up by cover is Venom Savage 6 Part 4, and it wraps up this arc that's been going on for a while, and really kind of plays off a lot of beats, still in a way that's reminiscent of Spider-Man, but playing it differently and a bit darker, and it's a touch more satisfying than I actually thought it would be, just for some of the simple twists in it. Can't really do that without giving away the whole thing, which would give away a lot if you haven't read Venom before. Needless to say, though, that this is a really satisfactory ending, except that there's one loose end that it looks like they're addressing in the next issue. See how truthful that is, but I'm really looking forward to that next issue as well. And whereas it kind of sucks that this didn't wrap everything up, this one loose end has really been dealing with one villain that's been going since the very beginning of the series. So in a weird way, it feels like they're kind of bringing all this Venom to a head, and they're wrapping up a lot of things. Curious to see where that all goes, and if they're going to try to take the character in a completely new direction, which would be crazy, because this whole series started with establishing a status quo that they've already changed, and now they stepped it up, and now it looks like they're changing it all again. I'm really interested to see how that goes. And if they keep it up, and if I keep hearing it ties into Secret Avengers, and if that's written by Remender, I don't know, it might actually be worth it to see, the weird parallels and how he plays in there and how he plays with others. I was never a Venom fan before the series, and I have to say, they keep it moving, and they keep it moving in a way that very few Marvel characters get to grow and change. And yeah, it's really a satisfying read. So there you go. And if any of you are ever deciding, I would definitely put this above the Scarlet Spider. Now, this next cover may look familiar. This is Duncan's take on the original Ninja Turtles cover, who's been the artist of the series interior for this first year. And now we're at the 12th issue. That first year's up, and they've done a lot more in 1 year than 12 issues. They've turned out a lot of those micro-series, so it's bit impressive world building already. But what's also interesting is this is apparently his last issue. There's going to be someone new, I'm not sure yet. So it's kind of this interesting little bittersweet thing, and I'm kind of wary of that. The art's kind of made this book. Also, what kind of hurts is this last issue felt a bit rushed comparatively to some of the other issues, but it still came out well, and the action in this issue was just unparalleled in like any book I've read recently. It was amazing. But if you haven't been reading Turtles, wait for the collection. But yeah, this was an excellent wrap up, and we're starting to see, we're kind of at the point now where all the expected characters have been introduced, and the kind of initial action beats that had to happen for it to be Ninja Turtles have now kind of happened. And there's a couple others that are probably fairly predictable, but from here on out, it's going to be much more interesting to see what happens with this book, because I have a feeling it's going to be able to take a bit more of its own direction. Not that it already hasn't been surprising and done an interesting amount, and the pacing has been fairly incredible, but yeah, I'm really, I mean, as much as I love this book, now I'm curious to see where it's going to go, and here hopes that it's everything that I hope it just lives up to all my dreams. So there you go. This Angel and Faith cover made a little further down the list because I'm not a big fan of Connor, but still pretty cool. Yeah, they find themselves in Korath, the demon dimension where Connor grew up, and they have to do a little good doing, even though they're playing just pop in now. I don't know, it was a fun issue. We'll see where it goes. Kind of can see where it's going already, but yeah, should be interesting. Hopefully it's only done in a couple issues and they get to move on. As a note though, it looks like they're starting up a Spike series in the back, and whereas I've been liking Buffy and Angel, I have to be honest, 3 series off this whole lore might be pushing it for me. I kind of like Spike being a side character, and maybe if they bounce between the two, or if it's a mini-series, maybe, but 3 ongoings, I don't know. What do you guys think? Uncanny X-Force cover, kind of just generic Marvel stuff, but the inside plays with a lot of morality. It's very much an issue that plays with the action and the consequences of their killing, and also an interesting take on time travel. Also, I'm going to note, Deadpool apparently lost his healing powers. Why? Why? Anyways, yeah, this arc is really bringing it back, and whereas the art is not where it once was in this book, it's still excellent and fun, and this arc is just incredible. So, hey, the only X book that I know that's worth picking up. So, Flash 11 looks like every other Flash cover, but this issue is really interesting. They're trying to set up an idea of how Flash is going to be more engaged with his villains, and also it kind of takes him down a notch. When he's focusing, he manages to get pickpocketed, and you just see a seedier side of the city, and you know, they're trying to play it and make it a touch more like Gotham, but it still isn't. It's still its own thing, and it's interesting and involved, and it's just taking the Flash forward. And that's what this whole DC thing was about, but it's one of the few books to just simply do that, and, you know, kudos. There's no clear, awesome layouts in this issue, though, but, it's still a fun book. So, New Guardians, the jig is up, they go to fight LaFreeze, and they find out who the Ring Thief is. I don't know, once that's all said and done, it seems like this book should be done, because it just seems like a long arc. So, meh. So, 690, Amazing Spider-Man, worst cover of the week, but awesome comic. Oh man, this twisting of the Lizard and the idea, and this whole issue plays with the idea of the Lizard experiencing kind of joy and bliss, and more than just survival and need, but actually want and desire. And seeing him rethink things, and a little bit more going on, and a little playing with the Spider-Man universe here and there, and a few little things go in this book that just add to it. And man, this was an awesome issue, and for the middle of an arc like this, to have a bunch of little asides and little things, and not even necessarily B-plot building, just quick little things, it really hit a note as to why this book's so amazing. It keeps up with the plot, but it has little human moments, it has little asides, little bits of humor, a little bit of this character's here and they come and they do this, and then, you know, that's it. They don't have to be a huge part of the story. It's just, in this continual serialized thing, every character doesn't always need their day, but sometimes they're just there, and it adds to this feeling of a larger cast and a feeling, and in a weird way, with a larger cast, it makes the world feel smaller, because not everything is this climatic, you know, good and evil lock death battle, but it's part of a city, and it's living and breathing, and it's so much more relatable for that, and that's so much why The Amazing Spider-Man right now is one of the best books on the shelves. And this is one thing that I always come back to when I realize I'm really loving a hero or an arc or something, and that's because whereas the story's good and the hero's being written right and the art's there, if there's not a supporting cast that's holding things together and adding a little bit extra to the book, it's not a great serialized comic. But when you have that supporting cast there, it takes a book from one level and makes it something even better to read month to month. It's the bliss of reading comics month to month. That's where it should be. That's the sort of, like, I guess the missing ingredient that if it was added to nearly every book, I think it would make nearly every book better. And that's it. And that's part of the reason why, going back to Flash, why that's working, is that the villains aren't just villains. They're part of the cast, and you have a few other key players, and the way that all interplays makes for such a better read. Batman only works really well when he has this whole cast built up. Not when it's just Batman, but when it's so much more, and who knows when it's going to come in. And that's what makes it so great. So, I don't know, just all that came to me from reading that book. And yeah, the cover was shite, but man, everything else was beautiful. So don't always judge a comic by its cover. I used to really honestly say you could judge a comic by its cover, but you can't anymore for two reasons. A, covers don't define content, even though sometimes it feels like they do, and in some cases they do, but you never know. And also because, honestly, they get so many different artists to do the cover, it's rarely anything representative of the book anymore, which is actually a real damn shame. But, there you go. So that was this Wednesday's serial. I hope to hit you all soon with another comic review. Rock on!